and welcome to the 38th edition of Marex Maritime News.
Maritime training institutes in India have been shut ever since the lockdown was imposed in March this year to fight the COVID 19 pandemic. Online teaching has been going on with mixed results, but on campus training, which is a vital part of all maritime training, is not showing any signs of coming back yet.
Maritime training institutes, I think enough of e-learning, enough of e-governance, enough of exit exams. अगर भारत के 17 राज्यों ने 17 states out of 28 have opened up schools and colleges, I don't see a reason why maritime training institutes cannot be functional. Even if it is 50% functional, it will help us. We don't want to be losing jobs because we are getting some 18 months certificate or we are getting some dispensations here there. At the end of the day, the skill based training, we are going to be better off only with the institutes. And my humble submission to Honorable Minister of Shipping Shri Mansukh Mandviya ji is sir, 3 lakh seafarers, whether it is social media or whether it is personal emails, they are only looking forward to one thing, that is opening of institutes. It will help us to retain our jobs and probably to add some more jobs. और हमारे पास जो कंपटीशन अवेलेबल है, चाहे चाइना में है, चाहे यूक्रेनियंस हैं, रोमानियंस हैं, फिलिपिनोस हैं, अगर हमको उनसे बेहतर करना है सर, तो ये इंस्टीट्यूट बंद रख के सिर्फ 4 कोर्सेज 80 में से अगर आप बोलेंगे वो होते रहेंगे, तो सर हमारे बेसिकली धुएं निकल गए हैं. हम तो चाहते हैं कि सर हमारी नौकरियां कायम रहें. इसलिए मेरी हाथ जोड़ के विनती है टू ऑल द अथॉरिटीज हु आर वर्किंग टू द होल इंडस्ट्री, लेट्स स्पीक इन वन वॉइस. वी want maritime training institutes to be open and to be open now.
The candidates need social interaction with their friends and peers. You know what is the buzzword in the various campuses? Enough for virtual classes. Let me illustrate this. Is the joy of scoring an actual goal or hitting a six same as virtually hitting a six or scoring a goal on a handheld electronics device? No. The joy of actual hitting a goal or hitting a six is far superior. I once asked, what will we do when all jobs will be done by robots using artificial intelligence? You know what the answer I got? Well, you will have sufficient time to spend with your friends and family and travel around the world. Isn't it an irony today that we are saying virtual is economical as it saves on logistics such as travel and hotel expenses? I believe statisticians around the world are already saying that there are more deaths due to other diseases such as tuberculosis, etc., than due to COVID. So think about it. MTIs should reopen, and it is also said in all states that by Diwali or after Diwali, it will open up for the candidates doing undergraduate course. So let us welcome this.
To open the maritime institutes in India. I would answer this by taking 3 examples. The first, short-term courses such as ETOs, which run for 4 months. These boys are here for 9 months now without a CDC. We require CDCs for them to join the ship, and hence they need to finish the basic safety training. The prime need is to start the BST practicals at the MTIs, considering them to be non-residential, so that these boys can stay out and do the 13 hours practicals in 2 days in batches of 20. That's dividing them into 7, 7 and 6 for the 3 major practicals required for the BST course. This needs to start as early as possible because the ships are waiting for these boys. The next set of boys are those who are doing the 8 months course, finished their theory and are again waiting for the CDCs. They need to be considered in the same manner as the earlier ones which I said. The third set of boys are the DNS who are doing a 12 months course. These boys should be got into the campuses, and by December their practicals should start so that they can attempt their exams of the university in the month of January and finish off their STCW courses to get their CDC. Hope by December we should be able to run these institutes for practicals so that we don't lose job opportunities on the ships.
Merchant Navy and maritime education in India is professional education and based on a lot of skill development. Since a lot of skill development institutions have started in India, maritime training institutes, which necessarily impart the professional education to mariners and seafarers and develop their skill, should also be started immediately. A lot of students all over India are waiting for either to complete their courses or to enroll into the new courses. We are not able to bring out the yearly output of our trained manpower in this sector. We may lose jobs to other nationalities like Philippines, Vietnam, Indonesia, and also Malaysia, including Chinese. We need to act now and need to act fast. Under the new normal and the standard operating procedures, maritime training institutes can be started, should be started, and training made available to all aspiring seafarers to get into the market and grab that opportunity to get on board. This is a difficult year for everyone, but of course we need to find a way of this difficult period into a new normal. I would urge all those who are involved in decision making to start the maritime training institutes and start getting our mariners manpower, maritime manpower out in the market to acquire the jobs at sea.
These are the headlines on Monday, 2nd of November 2020. Ministry seeks suggestions on Coastal Shipping Bill 2020. Proposes license for foreign vessels engaged in coastal shipping. GE Shipping Q2 results post net profit of rupees 225 crore. Centre may penalize shipping companies for spike in freight rates. Headache for ship insurers as Arctic routes open up. Maersk shipmaster arrested after collision with Greek warship. And now the news in detail. In accordance with Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi's vision for augmenting people's participation and transparency in the governance, the Ministry of Shipping has issued the draft of Coastal Shipping Bill 2020 for suggestions from the stakeholders and general public. As the shipping sector grows and evolves in the country, a need was felt to have separate legislation on coastal shipping, which considers it an integral part of the transport chain and recognizes the policy priorities of the sector to meet the demand of the Indian shipping industry. While drafting this bill, the global best practices have also been considered.
We are expecting and looking for a larger, very holistic support from the government of India, which could be by way of a legislation, and wherein the problems which are plaguing the coastal shipping could be addressed in a very holistic manner. The entire ecosystem needs to support if we want to see the growth of coastal shipping and modal shift of cargo from railroad to the coast. For example, the finance available to the shipping industry, like probably any other industry, is at a very high interest rate. The repayment terms are restricted to 7 years, whereas life of a ship, trading life of a ship is about 25 years. So we would expect the intervention of ministry to see that at least if the interest rates can't be brought down, then at least the repayment terms could be extended to 15 years, 10 years, whatever is welcome. Apart from that, we also would request ministry to look into the intervention if that's the right word, of various other government agencies into coastal shipping like customs, immigration. We don't really see any need of control of coastal shipping by these agencies. Like in domestic airline industry, you have no role of customs immigration. Unfortunately, we still have that role in coastal shipping. Thereafter, we have made our submission to the industry that the regulatory regime needs to be, probably need to have a very separate regulatory regime for coastal shipping. As of today, the regulatory regime which is applicable to the coastal shipping is based on international conventions with few dilutions and exemptions here and there. We think that we need a very separate, regime to govern the coastal shipping operation on the coast of India. The ports in India need to support, as I said, the entire ecosystem needs to support the coastal shipping. And ports need to support, we either to dedicate berth for coastal traffic or create new berths, and also the tariff needs to be further rationalized. So in that sense, as I said, this bill is welcome, but it has a very limited purpose and intent, and we are looking for much larger support, as I elaborated earlier, from the Government of India and the Ministry of Shipping.
Moreover, foreign vessels engaged in coastal shipping in India may be required to obtain a license from the Director General of Shipping. Besides building whole or part of the vessel in the country, the centre has proposed. The criteria for grant of the license may include the availability of Indian vessels, the compliance record of the foreign vessel, and other factors that the Director General may decide. Further, conditions imposed may include nationality requirements for the crew of each vessel that is granted a license, requirements of the whole or part of such foreign vessels to be built in India. Mumbai-based Great Eastern Shipping on Thursday reported a Rs 225.44 crore profit on a consolidated basis for the quarter ending September. The country's largest private ship liner had posted a loss of Rs 18.93 crore in the year-ago period, the company said in a BSE filing. The shipping and offshore operations of the group have continued, albeit with some disruptions and additional cost due to COVID-19. Operational challenges including movement of manpower and materials are being appropriately addressed by the management, it said. With exponential rise in freight cost hurting Indian exports, the government is set to intervene and is considering penalizing shipping companies indulging in unethical practices. Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal is learned to have asked the Ministry of Shipping to increase shipping lines into India to raise competition so that it benefits exporters. Facing an almost 60% hike in freight cost since July, exporters have been urging the government to intervene and regulate operations of shipping companies.
The recent abrupt hike in the sea freight has definitely caused huge setback to Indian exporters, particularly those who have negotiated with the buyer on shipment on CIF basis and C&F basis, as the hike in the freight has to be absorbed by them. It has come at a time when global trade has shown sign of improvement, and so has been the Indian exports. One of the reasons for the hike has been the fact that large ships are not calling on the Indian ports. There is some perception in the minds of some of the exporters that there may be some kind of cartelization which is pushing the prices. We hope that this may not be true. We are always of the view that the market forces should determine the freight rate, but at the same time we would like to have the transparency in the freight rate, and that's why few and other organizations are pushing for a regulator in the shipping field also. We are not against the increase in the rate, but increase in the rate has to be justified, and if it is borne by certain facts, I think industry can live with the such hike in the freight, but it should not be some kind of monopolistic behavior which should push the freight.
Hindustan Institute of Maritime Training.
When a captain guides a ship through Arctic waters, he is starkly aware of what can go wrong. Double the manpower is needed to navigate. Lookout ships are kept to just 1 hour, so sailors don't lose concentration and miss a mass of floating ice. Big icebergs show up on radar, but smaller, truck-sized burgy bits, even more dangerous, can be missed. Only about 6% of the Arctic Ocean is charted. No wonder insurers are wary of providing cover to ships using the Arctic waters to take advantage of the northern melt that is making voyages shorter by nearly 10 days.
Ice navigation requires a thorough understanding of the hazards of ice. It requires knowledge on factors such as ice concentration, type of ice flow size, first year or multi-year ice, and the movement of ice dictated by wind and currents. In polar waters, the dangers get heightened due to large numbers of ice flows of multi-year ice. Hence, master and the navigating officers must be well trained in navigation in polar waters. Double the manpower is needed in navigation. Lookout shifts are kept to just 1 hour so sailors don't lose concentration and miss a mass of floating ice. Big icebergs show up on radar, but smaller, truck-sized burgy bits, even more dangerous, can be missed. During my voyage through the Northwest Passage, we encountered hundreds of icebergs and thousands of burgy bits. Icebergs are multi-year freshwater ice, hence very hard and must be avoided at all costs. More dangerous are the burgy bits, which lie low in the water and are difficult to spot until they are at close range. During the heavy ice passage, our wheelhouse was manned by master and officer of the watch, along with 2 lookouts, 1 on each wing and a helmsman on hand steering. Difficulty arose at night when the searchlights gave only 1 ship length reaction time to give bold helm and avoid the burgy bits. One has to stick to the charted routes only. Also, only some portions of the Arctic is covered by ENCs. Hence, one has to transition from ENCs to raster charts frequently.
Greek authorities last Wednesday arrested the captain of a Portuguese-flagged cargo ship that collided with a Greek Navy minehunter outside the country's main port of Piraeus. The Coast Guard said the captain of the Maersk Launceston container vessel was arrested for alleged violations of the Greek Penal Code and of the international regulations for the prevention of collisions at sea. The Callisto, a British-built vessel capable of sweeping and hunting mines, was cut in two in Tuesday's collision, with much of its stern served.
Ex-director of IMS Goa, Mr. Asthana, passed away at 0200 hours on the 2nd of November 2020 of a cardiac arrest. Mr. Asthana was from the DMET batch of 1979-1983. Ships carrying live animals are at least twice as likely to suffer total loss from sinking or grounding as standard cargo vessels. Ships carrying animals appear to be at more risk because of a number of factors. Estimates suggest that at least 80% of livestock carriers were originally constructed for other purposes and have been converted rather than purpose-built. Historically, the majority of livestock carriers have been converted container ships and ro-ros. But even passenger vessels and oil tankers have been turned into livestock carriers. The age of the world's livestock carriers can also be a problem. Many were often already near or at the end of their shipping life, making the fleet one of the oldest sectors in shipping. The livestock fleet's average age is nearly 36 years. Another significant factor is that live animals move around in transit unlike containers. When these vessels are converted, animal behavior is not always a factor in their design. During heavy weather, animals can get distressed and move together to one side, which can potentially list the vessel. The tears that many livestock conversions add to increase carrying capacity are another stability risk. Manure and urine have often corrosive effects on steel. Livestock shipping also has a human resources problem because crews working on livestock carriers might have little, if any, training or experience in livestock management before joining their first livestock ship. Cargill, one of the world's biggest charterers of ships, is working with technology partners to fit sails on vessels in its fleet to cut carbon emissions through harnessing wind power. Cargill, whose chartered fleet of around 600 ships comprises dry bulk ships and tankers, said it had partnered with engineering specialists BAR Technologies and naval architect Delta Marine to develop wing sails that reach up to 45 meters in height, which will be fitted on the decks of vessels and can reduce CO2 emissions by up to 30%. Some voyages will be better suited to wind-assisted propulsion than others. This means that the engine will always be on but at a lower than normal load. This technology will help in the journey to zero carbon vessels. The project is in the design phase with first vessels expected on the water in 2022. AP Moller Maersk has sealed a deal with COVAX to ship the American pharmaceutical firm's COVID-19 vaccine around the world when and if it gets approval by authorities. COVAX is currently conducting phase 1 clinical trials of its vaccine in Taiwan and has an agreement with the University of Nebraska to conduct phase 2 trials in the United States. The company has advanced pre-commitments for over 100 million doses around the globe. Efficient and safe delivery of COVID-19 vaccines around the world is the most urgent logistics challenge we face today. AP Moller Maersk is committed to working closely with COVAX to ensure smooth end-to-end global delivery of this vaccine as soon as it becomes available, said Robert Townley, Head of Special Project Logistics at Maersk.
Stay safe, stay healthy. Thank you for watching. See you next Monday.